Hello everybody and welcome to Sam's Doing Stuff. What am I doing today? Well, I'm going to be doing some property maintenance and I'm going to talk to you about what it means to move from the suburbs to larger acreage. It might surprise you. Now our first house was a little suburb house with 1/3 of an acre. Yeah, we had that quintessential American Pie looking house, you know, beautiful yard, everything is maintained perfectly. You go around with your hands and you pull the weeds and you pull the dandelions out of the lawn and everybody has that Pleasantville look, if you know what I mean. Well, your shed might look a little bit like this when you have a small property like that. You're gonna have to make everything just look so nice and keep everything primed and proper. Well, of course, when you go to a bigger property, and we moved from 1/3 of an acre to 3 acres, you immediately realize you're gonna need bigger tools. Yeah, all of a sudden that push mower just isn't enough, so you end up with a much larger mower. Now, we have 7 acres, and let's talk about mowing for just a second. You're either gonna have grass and fields, or you're gonna have woods, depending on what you choose. And when I say larger acreage, I think when you move past 5 acres. 3 acres for us was more, but I just needed to do more. It just took more time. It just took a little bit bigger tools. It didn't necessarily take a 72-inch mower deck to do 3 acres, but now I'm mowing 5+, and things really change once you go past 5 acres. So like I said, you're either gonna have lots of grass or you're gonna have lots of trees. We have mostly grass, but I still have trees that need maintained. And you end up with bigger tools, but you don't always want to use bigger tools. Of course, I have a gas chainsaw, I have multiple gas chainsaws, but I'm just gonna go out and limb trees. I'm just gonna do some typical maintenance, so you don't always wanna grab a gas saw. So, Cecec sent me a saw. Seriously, somebody stop him. Anyway, let's open it up, see what it comes with. So here's how it comes out of the box. You got 2, what are they, 40 volt, I don't know how many amp hour batteries they are, but 40 volt batteries, 2 chargers. Nice that they give you 2 batteries, that's thoughtful. Everything you have to put together, it's all separate. Got to bolt this on and everything. They give you a screwdriver, a scrunch, a little bit of PPE, some glasses and some gloves, and 2 chains. Nice that they give you 2 16-inch chains. Nice to be able to sharpen one and then swap it out if you need. Let's put it together. All right, so there it is, all put together. This is, in my opinion, a very light duty saw. You do not want to go cutting big firewood with this. This is made for property maintenance, which is what we're doing today anyway. And we're gonna test it out and see how it does on just limbing some trees. So now our job of going and limbing trees, we're gonna go from having to have all of this in here, including gas and oil. Of course, you're still gonna need bar oil, but we're gonna change it from this to this. This is simple, this is convenient. We're just going out and cutting off some limbs that'll help me not bunk my head when I'm mowing. We're not cutting down a whole dadgum tree, you know? So you need multiple tools. You need the big tools for the big jobs, and you need the smaller electric tools for the everyday, it just has to be done. Let's get started. It seems to me that the smallest jobs aren't necessarily the hardest to accomplish. They're the hardest to just get started on, because convenience is king. If it's not convenient and you gotta jump through a bunch of hoops, you're just not gonna do it. So here we are, all along this tree line. I've got branches that are hanging down, and it's just an inconvenience to mow. And every time I mow, I keep telling myself, you know, I'm gonna come along here and I'm gonna trim these up so that they're not backing me. Backing me? That's bonking and whacking at the same time in the head. So now with an electric chainsaw, it's literally this simple. The rule is to cut everything above 6 feet. That's where I like to keep it. Now, there's the obvious things like lightweight. I mean, this weighs nothing compared to a gas saw. And the convenience, of course, like I said, and the noise. I'm not even wearing ear pro. I don't need it. It doesn't, we don't really have neighbors, but so we just throw it in the back of the cart and move on to the next spot. Yeah, once again, you know, we're not cutting down the whole tree here. We're just limbing. And as I said, this saw is obviously made for lightweight work. So we're just maintaining. Little bit here, little bit there. If it hangs down less than 6 feet, if it's gonna make a bigger job more of a pain in the butt, when you have to grab a bigger tool, like a lawnmower, if that job's a pain in the butt, it's just not convenient. And when it's not convenient, AKA it's a pain in the butt, it's just not gonna happen. And then it compounds. You don't do one thing, and then the other jobs become more difficult. And you can't do that job right. So then more jobs become more difficult, and it just gets horrible. And before you know it, 7 acres becomes really difficult to maintain. So obviously, this isn't my first rodeo, and this isn't my first electric chainsaw. This Cecec chainsaw is the 3rd or 4th chainsaw that I've owned, electric chainsaw. And I won't name the brand that I had before, but it became unreliable. It died. It ceased to exist, and it's frustrating because of how much that chainsaw cost. This saw is about 160 bucks. I'll leave a link in the description, of course, if you're interested in it. But lightweight, easy to use, just use it for what it's meant to be used for. And it'll do fine. I'm sure it'll do fine. Now you may notice I'm leaving these along the side here because that's a bigger job. That's a bigger job than this electric golf cart can handle. I'm not going to stack all these branches on the back of that golf cart. I've got bigger tools to take care of that job. The electric golf cart is way more convenient, way nicer to just zip around with my electric saw and do this little work. I'll come back with the tractor and I'll pick up these bigger piles later. So let's talk about the bigger equipment. Yeah, tractor. Do I really need a tractor? Yes, yes. When we moved to 3 acres, once again, this is 7. When we moved to 3 acres, it was immediately obvious I needed something to do the heavy lifting. And this is just a tiny little subcompact tractor with a loader that'll lift around 500 pounds. But boy, does it come in handy. And you can play this video for your wife when she starts asking you, yeah, do we really need, yes, you really need it. You don't need that excavator back there. No, you don't. And there are 2 things. This is from what I've heard, and I understand it now. There are 2 things that it's a debate as to whether or not one is more important than the other. A side-by-side, an ATV, some type of utility vehicle. For me, it's that golf cart or a tractor. Which one's more important? I'd say they're pretty, you gotta have a tractor. I mean, It inches it out just by a little bit. The tractor does more, but having a small utility vehicle to run around is fantastic. And a golf cart is certainly something you should consider. It's only, used golf cart on Facebook Marketplace, which is where I got that, $3,000 to $4,000. And I did a lithium upgrade on it. If you want, I'll put a link in the top of the screen there to show you that lithium conversion that I did. But yeah, it seems kind of silly, a golf cart, but boy, is that handy. All right, so let's talk about storage. I have two barns. The smaller one over here is a 40 by 40, and this bigger one over here is a 40 by 60. Do you need 4,000 square feet of storage for your equipment? No, you do not. Most places, like this was, have some sort of a barn or a pole barn or a huge shed, something to store equipment on. If you buy a property that someone has lived on already, they probably built that. These barns were here when we moved in, and I'm fixing them up and making them better, but they sure are nice to have. Now, if you're building on land, you're buying a new property and there's not been any structures built on it, you certainly have to throw that into your equation. Build, here's the rule of thumb. Whatever you think you need, build it twice as big. Right, no, that's not a joke, not at all. It seems like it, but no, you're gonna need more because there's not a single soul out there that's built a structure to store their equipment in and said, this is way bigger than what I need. I mean, okay, maybe me, this is way bigger than what I need, but I sure use it. I definitely use it. I mean, yeah, build a big building. What you're ultimately going to end up with isn't just maintenance, isn't just your standard lawn care. And believe me, this is something my dad told me. You can either do it yourself or you can pay somebody else to do it. So if you're gonna do it yourself, you're gonna end up with systems. You're gonna end up with multiple sets of tools. So if you're moving from your standard suburb with a third or a quarter of an acre, don't get rid of your smaller electric tools. I still have my electric weed whacker for doing around the house, and I have an electric snow shovel for doing the sidewalk because the tractor has a plow on it and it does all the heavy lifting when it comes to wintertime, but I'm not driving the tractor down the sidewalk. No, I just clear it off with this, and it's very convenient to just grab this electric snow shovel and do the sidewalk so that the Amazon and UPS guy don't fall down. There's systems now. There's multiple part systems with multiple tools, bigger tools, and it's a good reason to get them because ultimately, if you're thinking about buying more land or if you've already purchased it, you did it because of this. The peace, the serenity, the privacy, the freedom. It's really wonderful and it's definitely worth it. And if you can get the work that it takes to maintain a property like this to be more convenient, as I said, and to enjoy it, to make it fun, to want to get up every day and look forward to what you have in front of you, that's the ultimate goal. And then when you're sipping a beverage at the end of the day and you put all your multiple systems of tools away, you can look out across your property and you can be proud of it. I'm proud to be right here in this fine land of ours and have your place to put a fence around and like they say, buy dirt. It's the way it goes. Yeah, so I hope this video helps somebody out, whether you've already purchased land or you're thinking about purchasing land and you just don't know where to start and you don't know what to do. This will give you some ideas. It'll definitely get you started, I think. If you have any questions or comments, this is where it really gets good because my subscribers are the best subscribers in the world. And if you want to be one, all you gotta do is click all the buttons and then you can join the team. But they're gonna go in the comments right now and they're gonna add something that I may have forgotten. They're going to tell you something that I might not have touched on. And you can read through those comments and you can get all kinds of tips and tricks because I've got the best subscribers in the world, like I said. If you want to be one, click all the buttons, and that way you can be with me next time when I'm doing more stuff. See you then.